He said, I called my wife and she's going to bring down a plate for you. And I'm going to show you how to eat. And we're going to get rid of this nonsense about medication. You don't need any medication. You need motivation. You need to be walking 5K a day. And he said, you need to do that every day. I'm here in Chicago, and it is a nice sunny day today. So I have decided to tell my story of having diabetes. Normally when I would eat one time a day. But it would be such a huge meal. I would eat bags of donuts. Exercise. I would go to the gym, get on the Stairmaster, or do something to burn 500 calories. I remember that was my goal. I was overweight. I had been overweight since I had my son. I went to the doctor because I noticed that when I would have juice or have any type of sweets like jelly, I would start shaking. And I didn't know what was going on. So the doctor told me that I had hypoglycemia. He said that means that when you eat sweets, blood sugar goes high and then it drops. When it drops, that's when you feel the shakiness. And that is a condition that comes on because your body can't handle the sugar. Now, this is my first time ever hearing about this. Well, ma'am, it's something that we see prior to people getting diabetes. What? That word, diabetes. Let me tell you what that meant to me. My great-grandmother died of diabetes when I was 5. I don't remember her. My grandmother, I watched fall out many times because of her diabetes. She would go into a diabetic coma. I remember coming home from school several times and having to call 911 because she was passed out in the floor. My great-grandfather, I watched his legs get amputated. I went to the hospital. They amputated one leg. A couple of years later, the next. Then they amputated one of his arms. So apparently his diabetes had got that out of control. I mean, when he said that, that's what I immediately thought about. I'm going to die. He said, but you can control it if you take medication now and you change the way you eat. And I said, I figured out I could do this on my own. And I did that, y'all. I stayed away from a lot of sugar. I immediately stopped drinking juice. And I went to live my life. And I was fine. For a while. Around 32. 4 years later, I went to the doctor for a routine checkup. When I got there, he asked me, was I feeling tired? And I said, sir, I'm always tired, okay? I'm always tired. So at the time, when he asked me, was I fatigued? I had my full-time job. We had 2 sons. Plus, we had my 2 stepsons. So it was 4 boys in the house. That meant basketball games, football games, soccer. My husband at the time would travel a lot. And it was just crazy. And then I had choir rehearsal. Then I had to be at church on Sunday. Plus, I would go to Bible study. It was crazy. So when he said, am I fatigued? I'm like, of course I am. But isn't that normal when you're raising a family? So he told me he wanted to refer me to a diabetes doctor because he saw that my A1C was high. and he wanted me to go see a specialist. So he sent me to the specialist, and at the time I happened to be living in Germany, so it was a German doctor. He said, first of all, stop crying. He said, stop crying. I said, you tell me to stop crying. I just found out I had diabetes. I said, just give me my medicine and let me get out of here. He said, ma'am, medicine? What medicine? I said, there was medicine for diabetes. Just give me the medicine. He said, I'm not giving you any medicine. He said, I want you to get up, go into the waiting room, and tell me what you see. Of course, now, guys, I'm really irritated because here I am crying. You done cut me off from crying and feeling any emotion about being diagnosed with diabetes. And you're telling me to get up and go into a waiting room like I don't have time for these games. Give me the medication. I already have to deal with this, and you're making it worse. So I go into the waiting room, though, anyway, and I look around. I said, I saw a bunch of old people. 80s, late 80s. He said, that's my point, ma'am. That's my point. I'm not giving you medicine because this can be reversed if you do simple things. Now, he was talking to me kind of rough, y'all. Don't think he was saying it with any care, okay? He said, I called my wife. A lot of German doctors, a lot of restaurants and everything, they're in the same place as where the people live. So his wife was upstairs in her house. He said, I called my wife, and she's going to bring down a plate for you. And I'm going to show you how to eat. And we're going to get rid of this nonsense about medication. You don't need any medication. You need motivation. You need to be walking 5K a day. And he said, you need to do that every day. Okay, I'm a little confused, okay? I told y'all I work out sometimes, but I don't walk 5K. That's a long walk. So he said also, you need to lose weight. You're heavy. He was right that I was overweight. It was the delivery that I had a problem with. So he said, so you need to get out there and walk every day. I said, listen, I got a lot going on. I got my children, I got my schooling, I got my job. I'm constantly traveling from here to there. And he said, I don't care. I don't care. Do you want to be here? Do you want to live? Do you want to be on medication for the rest of your life because you don't want to put yourself first? Y'all, he was yelling at me. Promise you. So then here comes his wife downstairs. And he said, oh, here she is. This is what you should be eating every day. Y'all, I'm going to tell y'all what I saw on the plate, okay? And I'm like, that's not a lot of food. Like, it was so tiny. And he said, well, again, if you don't want to live, then you decide, but I'm not going to put you on any medication. And I have other people who actually need my attention. He said, I'm a specialist. I've been doing this for many, many years. And he said to see someone with type 2 diabetes come in here and then want to demand to be put on medication. He said, yes, I am sorry about your family history. He said, but you don't have to walk that same walk. So now I'm crying because he's pissed me off. I'm crying because I know what he's saying is true. But I'm also crying because you don't understand my life and everything I'm going through. I don't have time for all that. If I had time to walk every day, I would. If I had time every day to eat this little small plate, I would. I don't have time. This is what I was thinking. So I left there. I called everybody and their mama. I called my family. I called my friends. I mean, I cried. I'm gonna die. I can't believe this. And one of the reasons why I forgot to tell you that I thought I was gonna die is that my grandmother had recently passed. about 4 years earlier from diabetes. So all of this was going through my mind. So I went home and I told my kids, I said, listen, y'all are on your own today. Figure out what you're going to eat. Ex-husband, he was very good. Like we were a team, but I had the brunt of everything. I feel like that was one of the reasons why my eating was out of control. I'm going to start tomorrow. And that's what I did. I walked nowhere near 3.5 miles, but I walked a while that day. And then the next day, I didn't feel like doing it, but I just remembered my grandmother dying and the echoes of this crazy doctor in my mind. Just walk again today. Don't worry about it. Homework will get done. They will eat. They will survive. You know what? School is important and work is important, but you don't have to volunteer for everything. That your health is put on the back burner. So my anger for the doctor dissipated, and my quest to walk became like the bigger goal. So 2 days went to a week. About a week, I started feeling better. I had gotten up to walking a mile, and I started feeling better. My skin wasn't as dry. I remember having more energy. It seemed like I could handle more if I just took the time to walk. But it was taking a lot of time up. So I decided to walk at lunch. So I started walking at lunch for an hour. So then it became, okay, I can walk after dinner. Hi, good morning. So I started walking after dinner. Just a little bit, just a short walk. Because it became more about, dang, I feel better. Now, the eating, hi. The eating was still bad. I was still eating sweets. I was still doing all of that. But I was walking every day. And basically, I started saying, well, I will walk far on the weekends and I will walk short at lunchtime on weekdays, but I will always get my walk in. So on the weekends, I started walking further. I would start in the morning and then I'd walk maybe like at 8 a.m. and then I'd be back by 9:30. So I would end up walking an hour and 30 minutes. I started putting on podcasts. I started working my life out. I started working my work schedule out. Things started to be easier to handle. And all I did was really walk and stay away from juices and a lot of sugar. But again, I was a sugar addict. I was an addict of many more things, but that's for another video. So, walked my first 5K. So I said, you know what? Maybe I should start running this a little bit because it will just help me get there faster. So I started running. And then I kept running. And then before you know it, I was running the whole 5K. I promise y'all, guys, it was like the doctor pissed me off, but I feel like the doctor saved my life. I was pissed. I felt like he was heartless. I felt like he took a moment where my fears about having diabetes and dying early and my family history. And then I also felt like this is your chance that many people don't get. They don't get to change their life. They don't get to reverse course. They don't even get a warning. And there's not a lot of education about what to do when they have it. So I felt like I changed my life. Because when I went back to the doctor, my A1C was normal. Normal, y'all. The doctor said, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. Again, I was 32 years old, and my A1C has never been above 7.0. They like to see it at 6.5, or they don't want to see it above 7.0. So this last doctor's appointment, she said it was at 7.0. I said, oh, don't worry about it. It was the winter in Chicago. It's cold. I don't get to walk as much. But you better believe on the first warm day, I will be walking. And guys, here's the most amazing part. No matter how rude that doctor was, he saved my life. Because I am 56 years old and I still walk. I don't care what's going on. I don't care whose life is messed up. I don't care who needs me. I don't care when they need me. I will always get my walk in. I only take a metformin, and that is because it helps with your kidneys. It's a really, really well-known medication, but I also learned it wasn't a miracle worker. I don't care how much medication I took. If I ate the wrong things, and if I did the wrong things, my blood sugar was gonna go up, and I was gonna feel the effects. Fatigue, weakness, dehydration. The metformin helped. The walking helped the most by far. But me also eventually deciding that I wasn't going to eat the way I was. So, after all of this, I lost weight, which also made the diabetes go away, put me in the pre-diabetes category. And I just learned a lot about the disease. So y'all follow me, because I'm going to be doing a lot of videos on this and everything I've learned and how much of this is our responsibility to work out. Not the doctor, not the medication. It's our responsibility. And there are so many easy ways to do it. So yes, I am still walking as we speak. Now, I don't walk every day. I can't, but I almost every day. And if I don't walk, I try to jump on my trampoline, because all of that keeps my diabetes at bay. So I hope you guys learned something about my story. At the 2-year mark, so I went back to him to thank him, actually, and his wife for saving my life, even though I hated him. So I went in there and I said, hi. I just wanted to come and say hi to you and your wife to thank you. He said, well, I'm retired. You don't remember me? He said, no. So I said, does your wife remember me? And she's like, no. Hey, okay. But anyway, I thanked him. We had tea together. I told him everything I was doing. I'm so happy that I was in Germany. I feel like God had me exactly where he wanted me to be. And I feel like me even telling you guys what happened in the story, it would hopefully motivate you guys. Because here's the thing, nothing is going to change overnight. It doesn't matter how many days I get out here and walk. If I'm not doing it consistently, nothing's going to happen. So it's not about how many days can I get out here and walk, how many miles can I walk, how long can I go. It's how about I take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes to myself to go walking. Because here's the thing they found out. You don't need a lot of walking. You should consistently do it over and over again every day. Doesn't have to be perfect. I think it was in maybe about 47 that the doctor recommended I take a metformin. And then I coasted on that for a while. Then my numbers got up to about 6.8. And he said, hey, go ahead and take 2. 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, or after you eat. And I did. And then my numbers got back down. So you see, I'm doing what I can. The medication is doing what they can. And they're all tools. So you have to make sure that you're utilizing the tools. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that story. Stay motivated. You can do this. You can do it. I know you can.